I recently jumped back into the Jurassic World Evolution 3 campaign and have started rebuilding these maps with some of what I've learned over the last 6 or 7 months. Campaign mode is my favorite space to live in, and so it's fun to go back through these locations every few months to update and elevate the parks, maybe a little faster than someone would do this in real life, but that's beside the point. Today, we're back in campaign mode building a complete gyrosphere tour through the back of our Indonesia island in Jurassic World Evolution 3. The Gyrosphere Tour is going to be split into 3 or 4 different sections, with the first one being our main entrance into the tour itself. I'm going to split this at the end here with 3 different rooms here, 1 to go to the gyrosphere, and 2 on each side to go and view the viewing platforms that we'll have as well for guests to be able to look into to see some of the dinosaurs that they'll experience in this tour. I don't know if this is exactly how it works, but my hope is that by having these viewing platforms and the gyrosphere tour here, we get as many people as possible going to the end of the guest spaces here in the park to flood this area here. We're not going to have a ton of path for people to actually walk through. We're going to have some different planter boxes and designs with statues around here to carve a path through the building. But my goal is to try to fill, again, as many people as possible in here as we can. The path under this is going to be removed later. I'm going to put some flooring under it, and then afterwards, again, I don't know if this is actually the best way to do it, but I'm just going to change everything out under it and have paths that are going to go all the way from the actual viewing platforms back out to the main entrance to this building here. But this is what the basic outline is going to look like. All the planter boxes are going to be filled with a ton of different shrubs and plantery and a few different statues here when it comes together. When I'm building this, though, it is a little bit frustrating in moments where I don't fully see what it's going to look like when it comes together, but you kind of have to just trust the process sometimes and hope that it comes through. And at the end of this, I did feel good with how this looked at the end of it. But if you have different feelings on how to move faster through something like this or have ideas to make this even better, feel free to put those in the comments. I'm always looking for ways to make these even better. I live most of the time in this game in campaign mode, so we'll be back in Indonesia doing a few different things in the coming future here, but more on that as we get through here. The planter boxes are starting to come together here, and we'll do a few things with like the amber rocks that I use very little with, and then it's going to be putting a few different decor items and things to fill this out a little bit more. So we'll have some different fountains in here, we'll have some different seating that we'll be able to play with as well. And I want to have some of these chain fences as well that go around the sides where I have these openings. We'll have glass on the roof, but I want to have some of these chain fences that look through some of these gaps that we have that would be for windows here. The Gyrosphere Tour is going to be titled Fallen Kingdom, and this came from an idea I wanted to have where I want to have a destroyed building, or at least some ruins outside of here that guests will be able to take the Gyrosphere Tour through. But to do that, part of what I need to do is I need to build a fully completed building, and then I'm going to muck it up a little bit afterwards. So we're going to play with a few things in here, but then once it feels like it's fully completed, that's when we get to break some things and put a ton of these different abandoned brick pieces around to just give it a little bit more of an incomplete or a well-loved building aesthetic. We'll do this a lot on the inside here where we don't need as many guests on certain parts of the path. They'll still be able to get all the way through and view the viewing platforms themselves, but it's going to help us with a lot of the vibe that we want for this in the back half of the Indonesia campaign. Originally for the campaign, I didn't want to have a lot of these kind of buildings in the backside of it. I wanted this to feel a lot more open and letting the dinosaurs to walk around and being away from the guests. As I've gotten more comfortable with the modular building, I'm having more fun trying to do things like this, so this is something that will continue to elevate all of the parks in the campaign mode. Indonesia just happens to be the first one that we're going through to update and move some things around. Some of the dinosaurs we've already moved that didn't warrant a full build of completing their enclosures because they're very small for them. Were the Dinosaurs, we moved those to their own space where originally Homocephaly was. Those have moved to a smaller space as well with Nodosaurus. There's a lot of things where we just made things smaller. Even in campaign mode, I didn't want to use as much space as I had for some of these before, so some of those enclosures are a little bit tighter. It didn't make sense to do a full build video on those, so those are just smaller shorts where we have smaller videos of the dinosaurs going through those enclosures. I think those are a ton of fun still, and so I'll do those every now and again as well, and by every now and again, I guess I mean with like everything that we're playing with, because it is fun to just go through for me and build some of these things. If you do like those videos, feel free to like those. They're there for people if they want those things and they like those. If not, it's not for you. That's totally fine. I know that everyone has their different style when they're building things and having fun with this game. And at the end of the day, it is just a game, so we are just having fun doing things that we enjoy. And for me, that happens to be going back through campaign mode 700 different times to continue to elevate the enclosures, the buildings, the map, and everything. Once we get through a few of these, we'll get back to building something in Sandbox as an appendage to the campaign, waiting on if we get some kind of an expansion on the campaign, but no promises, so I'm going to do something myself to play with that and do something different. I haven't fully settled on what all that's going to be, but TBD on what that will be in the future here. We ended up using the brick ruins to go up the tower here, which was really fun to do. They have some rocks that are sticking out one side of it, though, which meant that we know exactly where the base of these levels, these platforms are going to be for me, because I need to cover up some of that brick. I haven't done a lot with these actual viewing platforms, so this is my first go at doing something quickly for the platform. It's not a main feature, it's just a small thing on the side of our Gyrosphere Tour, so I didn't want to take a ton of time with it, but wanted to make it feel like it was at least a little bit connected to the rest of the building here. And I think that it came out fine. I think there's some things that I'm nitpicking about it that I want to make it better, but that is for another time. And again, the viewing platforms here are a very small part of the entire enclosure and tour that we're going to have here for all the dinosaurs that we're going to go through on the back side of this here. We've finished much of the inside of the walkway to the Gyrosphere Tour, and then we'll start to build out what the tour experience is going to look like here. I'm going to have a wall that's going to extend and it's going to curl around this to help the gyrosphere know that it needs to go out and not towards the water. But then what we're going to have eventually here is I'm going to build out some perimeters and some other rock walls here, but I'm not going to keep them the way that they are as I start with them. I'm going to put them together, and then I'm going to take them apart. I'm going to put them into little pieces. I'm going to break things on them. I don't know if there's a faster way to do this, but I wanted to give this ruined or this destroyed building aesthetic, and the best way for me to do that, because I don't know of a quicker way or an easier way for me to do it and be okay with it, is building the building completely and then destroying it. So we have this like rock wall that will be a perimeter around where the Gyrosphere Tour starts, and we'll get that really close here. But then what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm just going to start deleting pieces and just removing those. We've got some other rock wall pieces we can sink into the ground. We can play them, we can flip them. We can do a different thing here with a bunch of these pieces here, and that's what I'm going to do, and just stick things around like they just have broken, they've fallen apart. It's a little harder than I thought to just make something destroyed, because, yeah, you're like putting things in random spaces, but I still wanted to feel like it made sense that it went there, or that things are falling apart. You can't just like throw things anywhere, but it was still fun to be able to build something where I don't need it to look pretty, I just need it to look like it's broken. The thing that makes this feel the most broken is going to be a lot of those little brick pieces, and we use a ton of those in this in the Gyrosphere Tour, in the buildings themselves. I don't know what the item or the building piece count is on this, but the blocks themselves take up a majority of that space there, and making it feel a lot more massive than it actually is. I mean, you can see it over there, what it really looks like. But now we'll start building a few other things that people will experience as they go through that Gyrosphere Tour. So one thing they'll do here is I want to have an abandoned campsite here. We're going to build a little fire pit, and then we're going to have some picnic tables and some other pieces that are just thrown around. Again, they don't need to look pretty. They do need to look like they're on the ground, though. So I don't want to have these sunk too far in, but I do want this to feel like it is a campsite. It has been taken over by a few of the different dinosaurs that are here. It's abandoned. No one else is going to be over here. So we'll like flip some of these buildings, these trucks and cars and vehicles on their sides. Use some rocks as well to prop these up. I haven't done a lot with abandoned locations like this, but this was a really fun thing to just try and play with here. It's going to go into, again, the whole idea here, having a totally destroyed part of the park that is just no longer functioning for guests to experience in the way it originally was, and we've just turned it into a tour space for us here. We're going to split the enclosure into like 2.5 different spaces over here for different dinosaurs. So all of the dinosaurs, since this is campaign mode, they have all of their environment needs that need to be met. And we're going to split this so that generally the dinosaurs in different environment needs have different spaces to exist. They might migrate between these a little bit, but hoping that they don't go too far, because two of the dinosaurs we do have in here, because we're moving some things from Malta as well here, are going to be the Chasmosaurus and the Spinosaurus are going to be here, and they do not like each other. So we'll have the Chasmosaurus over closer to our abandoned campsite here, and then the Spinosaurus is going to be on the back side where we have that deep water, and that's where we're also going to have our sauropod, the Dreadnoughtus, is going to be there. Dreadnoughtus is already in our park here, but it's in a space that's already not open to the public. Now we're just going to have it in this back space here, where we also want to have this abandoned. Everything's abandoned in this part, but we're going to have a worker village that we have over here. Some of these pieces, I didn't create the worker village pieces in here, but I'm going to take those, and then I'm going to throw a bunch of rocks on them. We're going to throw some foliage. We're going to do a couple different things here. The workshop is really cool, and I want to do a lot of these things building it myself, but some things like that, where I'm trying to move quickly and I'm trying to get the rest of this build completed, I just didn't have the space to build out these buildings. And the ones they have already in the abandoned worker village someone built are already fantastic. So I'm just going to use those. We're going to have a couple signs here, and those are going to be throughout the rest of the Gyrosphere Tour for the title of this enclosure and this ride being Fallen Kingdom, and having this space that, again, used to be great buildings and spaces that we had for guests, and it is no longer functioning for them. But this is the completed Fallen Kingdom Gyrosphere Tour. If you do like this, feel free to hit that like button. If you want to see more builds like this in the future, as we're going to continue to go through campaign mode, hit that subscribe button. We'll be working on those as well. If you have ideas on how to make these even better, that is what the comments are for. Either way, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you on the next build.